And this is crazy stuff. We are in the last days, and these CIA controllers and operatives that are doing this, setting this up, need to be caught and they need to be executed.
Seditious Six is actually part of a much larger psychological operation, a psyop, if you will, and that foreign money is involved. And so, folks, today we have a lot to talk about. So to really kick things off, take a look at this.
So I talked to two CIA officers who said that this is a part of a larger hoax, and what they're doing here is they're trying to condition the country to prepare for something bad that's about to happen at the hands of Donald Trump. It's straight out of the CIA playbook. It's a destabilization operation where you get people to mistrust each other. And you do this because she's an analyst, and as an analyst, she would make sure what propaganda operations were successful, which ones weren't. So she knows what works. So the first part of the video, you establish authority. I'm CIA, I'm military, you need to trust us. Second part of the video, they introduce the threat, and the threat's not foreign, the threat's domestic, the threat's Donald Trump. And then at the end, they introduce the solution. What's the solution? You resist, you say no. But they don't give an option. They say this is an obligation for you to do. Now, she is being run because she didn't come up with this herself. She's a Brennan acolyte, and you usually don't have congressmen and senators doing anything together. They kind of hate each other. So in order to organize this had to have had some sort of handler telling her what to do. And it was risky because nothing like this has ever been done in the history of the country. And you can even tell because the media was skeptical, and they couldn't answer the question, so they hadn't even been read in on the operation. You see them fumbling and stumbling. And I'm glad that the U.S. military is now investigating this guy Kelly, because this is what we expect from Donald Trump 2.0. You can't have the deep state interfering with a duly elected presidency and get away with it. You got to draw the line in the sand, and you have to make examples out of people.
And so, folks, he's absolutely
This is crazy and it's insane, but it's going on. This is a CIA operative, and with foreign money. This is just treasonous to the high hilt, purposely done through the CIA.
right about that. And as he broke down, this entire operation pertaining to the Seditious Six is very clearly a part of something much larger and much more sinister. Now, luckily, the Trump administration is taking this entire situation incredibly seriously, including Secretary of War Pete Hegseth.
I agree with Secretary of War Hegseth. You should recall Mark Kelly right now, and you should try him. You should court-martial him. I don't know why we're not doing it with more of these people. Your thoughts?
Any military member knows that if you accept that retirement, if you're accepting that pension, then that means that you are bound and held to the confines of the Uniform Code of Military Justice. You learn that day one in the military. You learn that as soon as you sign those papers, by the way. It's something that they teach you when you take your UCMJ class. Everybody knows this. So it's really simple. If you have been taking the money and he has been taking the money, then that means he is bound by the Uniform Code of Military Justice, and as such can be called back to active service to stand court-martial for breaking the Uniform Code of Military Justice. And look, you look at something like this, and I would say you got to make an example. You've got to make an example. Do we have standards or not? Look what they did. They just threw out the case on Comey. They threw out the case on Letitia James. We know, obviously, they're working to appeal that. But you have to play hardball, because if you don't, then they will continue to do this. They will continue to undermine the president. And I said this a number of times now. What they're doing is trying to set up the next impeachment the exact same way they set up the first impeachment with whistleblowers and leakers from the intelligence community. Remember Vindman, remember Charamella. That's what they're trying to do. So that's supporting a felony right there, by the way, if you're leaking classified information. But they don't care, because they want anyone who's got access to privileged information on President Trump or Secretary Hegseth to be leaking it to them so that they can set up another impeachment, and if they have the ability to, if they take back the House come 2026.
And so, like I said, folks, very clearly this entire situation is part of a much bigger plan to bring down President Trump and really the entire republic. But you know what's even worse? Take a look at this. Now, as of yesterday afternoon, we're also seeing billboards pop up across the entire country, this one in North Carolina right outside of Fort Bragg, encouraging military members to dissent against their leadership. And now, can you guess who's financially associated, to say the least, with these billboards? Yeah, George Soros. But now, folks, Stephen Miller actually chimed in on this entire situation, and I want you all to take a listen to what he had to say, because trust me, he's a little bit heated right now. But first, I do want to say real fast that if you folks enjoy the daily news updates,
A little heated, to say the least.
Mr. Miller, what should happen to the seditious six?
Well, they should be held accountable under the law and under the Uniform Code of Military Justice for a seditious conspiracy against the United States of America. This is completely open and shut, straightforward. What is the motivation? Why would 6 members of Congress, selecting specifically for individuals with a CIA or military background, record a carefully written, carefully produced, slickly edited video messaging directly to members of our clandestine services and our armed forces, telling them to disobey orders from their superiors, telling them that they should individually determine whether an order is legal or illegal and defy it. Individuals who are exercising life and death power. The CIA engages in covert missions all over the world involving life and death decisions. The armed forces launches life-taking missions time and time again. They carry weapons. They control drones. They control missiles. They work on nuclear submarines. For what purpose would you ever deliver this message? As you said, it's to create a color revolution. It is the CIA playbook for trying to foment insurrection from within the military and within the CIA. Look, we saw after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Jesse, members of the armed forces openly celebrating his murder. So think about that for a second. You have people in the armed forces, and it can be a tiny, tiny percentage, but who celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and then now they're getting a message from Kelly and from other members of Congress saying, defy your commanders. Rise up and defy your superiors. That kind of language will get people killed. It endangers our national security. It is dangerously radicalizing, and it has all of the evidence of willfulness and intent. And when they go on TV and they say, well, we can't name what order is illegal, that proves the point. It was never about the law. It was breaking down the chain of command. The Democrat Party is openly engaged every day in trying to tear down democracy, whether it be judges who are binding the president with unlawful orders, releasing violent criminals back onto the street, trying to cement and protect the illegal alien invasion of America, and now fomenting rebellion inside the ranks of our armed forces and CIA.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, really this entire situation is entirely transparent. It's just as clear as day. This is just yet another far-left deep state operation to try to bring down President Trump. However, really that's their biggest problem, because now they've got to deal with President Trump.
I think normally they think they can get away with comments like this until they face a guy named President Donald Trump who sued and won money against George Stephanopoulos, YouTube, Twitter. How many other companies you want me to talk about that? He won so many different lawsuits, about to go after BBC. They don't realize they're going after somebody that's probably going to hold them accountable. And Mark Kelly, obviously, thank you for his service. He wrote a long tweet today. It's very obvious he's writing the tweet in response to say, here's my resume. I'm sorry I said this. Don't come after me. I'm a very important patriot. I love America. And on the other side, Hexet is like, you already crossed the line with the comments here. Just go read history with what happens with this. They crossed the line, and I highly doubt this administration is going to let this one go.
And so, folks, as a little bit of a spoiler here, they're not. We already have the confirmation that the FBI is going to be interviewing all 6 members of the seditious 6, and we also already know that Mark Kelly is potentially looking at UCMJ charges. But things are actually getting even more serious than that. Right now, the Trump administration is also looking to identify who scripted, produced, and edited the infamous Seditious 6 video, but more importantly, who paid for it. Because I'll tell you what, this video didn't just manifest itself into reality all on its own. And so, ladies and gentlemen, really, here's the most important question. Who exactly is pulling the strings here? Because I'll tell you what, answering that question is absolutely mandatory if we really want to put America first.
All right. Great video. Thank you, Matt Morse TV. Good day.